tout le monde. C'est la fin de session. C'est un jour plus tôt que dans l'horaire, so we adjourn a day earlier. And in the mix, as ever, there's a unanimous consent motion to put together a number of bills the government wanted to see across the finish line and do it by unanimous consent. I would have rather stayed and gotten the bills done correctly. I'm very concerned that Bill C-22, the Lawful Access Bill, which just went through the House, what is called on division. There have been a number of stories in the media for which I appreciate the diligence of the journalists in noticing how much more frequently in this new government we don't have recorded votes on even very controversial bills. So the Civil Liberties Associations, Open Media, Citizen Lab, numerous experts in technology and privacy and constitutional law have said, don't pass this bill. We had a closure motion, programming motion. I attended I don't know how many hours of sessions in the Public Safety Committee with my amendments at the ready, only to be, in the end, and thanks to a Conservative member of Parliament who said before we went through the programming motion and there was a baillon, the guillotine, the end of debate, said, well, maybe, shouldn't Miss May be allowed to say something? So I was allowed to speak briefly to my amendments last night, before midnight. But it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right in my bones that a bill is controversial, establishing a new surveillance infrastructure, should be passed with a committee just having a rule that says we can't debate amendments before we vote on them. And then for people in my position, that would be me and the member for Vancouver East, Jenny Kwan, with amendments and not really allowed to participate in the meeting at all. So for people who don't notice what happens, I want you to know that when they said unanimous consent, that Bill C-22 goes through on division. I stood to make it clear on the record that the Green Party opposes Bill C-22, and Jenny Kwan stood on the record to make sure everyone knows the NDP opposes Bill C-22. But it's worth noting that every single opposition party opposed a bill that was pushed through just moments ago with a unanimous consent motion and no vote. The gathering forces that affront democracy itself in this place are hard to observe from the outside, but I feel them keenly from the inside. Nous avons maintenant une vraie diminution des droits dans la démocratie pour chaque député, mais aussi pour les citoyens du Canada. Nous avons un gouvernement qui va faire avec force les choses et avec vitesse. Mais qu'est-ce que c'est accompli avec vitesse? Nous avons établi, mettre sur pied les agences, les nouveaux bureaux, mais pour protéger l'environnement, pour protéger la nature, pour protéger notre santé, nous avons ralenti. We're going backwards. And as everyone says to each other in this place, have a great summer. I say to Canadians, take your summer and make sure your MP knows you don't like the things you're seeing. Make sure your MP, especially a Liberal MP, knows that we noticed what was in the Liberal platform. It was promises on climate change. It wasn't promises to build pipelines. To notice that there was nothing in the Liberal platform that said, we will make the most progressive move in over half a century to make it easier to have toxic pesticides spread across the landscape than ever before. That was it was never in their platform, it wasn't in the budget, but we just pushed it through on Bill C-30, the Spring Economic Statement Implementation Bill. Malheureusement, maintenant, c'est la fin pour cette session. Nous avons l'été pour prendre l'effort pour encourager les militants écolos de faire les efforts plus hauts. We need to be louder, we need to be clearer, and we need to make sure that this government adopts, if it's a mid-course, but certainly some course correction fast, because the climate doesn't have time to wait, nature doesn't have time to wait, and people in this country who are suffering under the economic burdens they face don't have time to waste. Thank you very much, and je suis disponible pour les questions. Au cours. Merci. À la prochaine. Who's next?